She's calling.
What's that? Yeah, go for it. I'm not going to leave the microphone if that's okay. Stick that there. Cool. Hi folks. Before we start, can we have a big round of applause for Brona today, and also Jackie, who does loads and loads of work for the band for getting this whole thing going. Right, my name is Benedetto and I work for a design company called The Loft, and today I'm going to talk a little bit about social branding. So I'm going to start with three things. Does any of you guys know what the three things have in common? The first thing is this: it's an Apple iPhone, best-selling phone in the market, lots of apps, made Apple a load of money. The second thing is Barack Obama, who got himself into the White House based on thousands and thousands of people making small donations to his cause before his election campaign. And the third thing is Facebook, worth £500 billion supposedly, and half the world seems to be on it. Does anybody know what those three things have in common? Go for it, Claire. Social media, yep, has a part of it. Anybody else? Well, there's a few things you could tie in, but the one thing that's kind of dawned on us recently is all three things are actually about empowerment. All three things actually empower the audience and help them get involved to generate more momentum to the cause. And that's what we notice with social media nowadays, that actually empowerment's a really important part of branding. So we've been talking a lot recently about the difference between branding and marketing, because it tends to get confused quite a lot. And we kind of came up with this theory that branding is actually the kind of music you're playing and the type of music, and marketing is actually knowing whereabouts you actually want to play it. And we do this thing with our clients where we draw a kind of stadium scene on the board, and we say that's your brand in the centre, and that's you singing your song. So which part of the audience do you actually want to sing to? Do you want to sing to the cool people? Do you want to sing to the technical people? Do you want to speak to the intelligent people? Do you want to speak to the comedians? Do you want to speak to Colin there, sitting on his own? And so that's a really important thing. Now, in the olden days, or pre-social media and pre-internet, the brands could just chuck out as much noise as possible, and the people in the audience didn't really have much of a say. But since especially the internet and social media, we've got forums, we've got Twitter, we've got Facebook, so we've actually got a much more realistic situation where the crowd can actually heckle you. And if anybody watches The Apprentice, if anybody tells a fib, straight away it's on Twitter, they've told a fib. They can also comment, they can stay deathly silent. Or they can do what everybody probably wants them to do. You got the Paul McCartney scenario in Hey Jude at Wembley Stadium. They can sing along in a big chorus, and they can actually build much, much more momentum to what you're doing. So probably, how do you actually get that stadium scene? How do you get the Noel Gallagher at Hampden, everybody singing along to what your brand's about? And to be really honest, a lot of people will say they know the answers, but nobody does, because social media is too young to properly know the answers. But the three things I would say that help is, first, be really, really good at what you do. So if you're going to put content out there, if you're going to write a blog or tweet something, and it's about your subject, you have to have the quality that goes with it. Most of the great bands spend hours and hours and hours practicing. So actually be good at what you do and put good content out there in the first place. The second thing is, there's a lot of talk on the internet at the moment about this thing called tribes, how we're actually starting to form tribes online. So on Twitter, you'll have your business associates. On Facebook, you'll have your personal friends. And people are kind of forming tribes to what actually interests them. So because it's digital and because it's a big world out there, it doesn't matter what your interests are, what particularly in this context your company's interests are. Find your tribe, find your audience, align your values with other people's. And thirdly, the most important part, but also the most difficult, and that goes back to empowerment itself. See, things like Apple and Facebook. In fact, we were actually talking the other night about what really great brands have got this empowerment thing. And it turns out it is actually all the social media brands themselves, whether it's Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. They're actually all giving the audience some ownership of what they do and helping to build a bit of momentum. And so basically they give people the tools and let them get on with it. So what does that mean in a practical context? Well, just because we're quite a small design agency, we only do content managed system websites. So we actually give the clients a little bit of ownership of what they do. People don't want to be locked in anymore. And even more importantly, you could be as clever as you like, but you've got to keep it simple. There's a reason Hey Jude and Don't Look Back in Anger are actually all really, really effective. It's because they've got a big chorus. They've got something that people can sing along to. So you have to be clever, but at the same time you have to keep your feet on the ground and make it accessible to the audience. And if you do that, maybe you'll get to raise the roof too. Thank you.